welcome to today's video. In today's video, I will discuss about some basic statistical analysis, the various methods involved with it, the various terminologies. First, let me give you a recap about what has been taught in the previous lectures. Initially, I have started with description of syllabus. Then in the next video, I started with basics of measurements and instrumentation. And in the last video I have discussed about different types of errors present in instruments, what are the causes and what may be the remedy of those errors. That has been discussed, and I have also told that statistical analysis also plays a major role in instrumentation, measurement and instrumentation basically. In today's video I will discuss about arithmetic mean and few other topics related to measurements and instrumentation. So let us begin. So first let us discuss about arithmetic mean. All of you must have studied in mathematics all these things which I am going to discuss, but since it is there in your syllabus, it is necessary to discuss the topics. So I have incorporated these topics in the present in this video. Okay. So first, arithmetic mean. What is arithmetic mean? Arithmetic mean is given by summation of all the observations. If we have a set of observation having n numbers of observation, if we are performing an experiment and we are having n number of observations, then the sum of all the observations, all the data which we have collected, divided by the total number of data, the total number of times the experiment have been repeated, all those things is that is a number of observation. Okay. and uh, and the data, what are the individual observation. So arithmetic mean is given by x1 plus x2 plus x3 up to xn divided by n, that is also written as summation of xn by n. Now see here, x1, x2 and xn are the readings or variates of samples. Samples mean whatever observation we are doing, or whatever the number of observations and samples which we have, the summation total of all those samples or all those observations, that is written on the denominator, and on the numerator the total number of readings or the total number of observations are written. So arithmetic mean is nothing but it is a ratio of sum of all the observations divided by the total number of observations. So it is written as arithmetic mean is equal to x1 plus x2 plus x3 up to xn divided by n, summation of xn by n. Okay, so this is arithmetic mean. This you know from your school level, but this is just a division. So I have explained here. Now what is dispersion? Dispersion, the property which denotes the extent to which the values are dispersed about the central value is termed as dispersion. Now what is central value? Suppose the mean value, that is known as the central value. Okay, so if I'm drawing a graph, on the there will be x and y axis. So let the y axis be the midpoint of the central value. Okay, so dispersion is the extent to which the values are dispersed. Dispersed means it is scattered. So it is scattered around the central value. So the extent to which it is dispersed, that is known as dispersion. The other name used for dispersion is spread and scatter. So it is like a Gaussian function. It is like this. Okay, and if this is x-axis, this is y-axis, then we write it as we draw it as, if this is the mean and this is the x-axis, then around the mean value this graph will be known as the dispersion. Okay, now this dispersion gives the value of accuracy. It also express the value of accuracy. So dispersion is a very important point to find out the accuracy of the system. Next is deviation. Deviation is departure of the observed reading from the arithmetic mean of the group of readings. Suppose we are having a group of reading and we are having the mean. So deviation of the observed reading from the arithmetic mean, how much the observed reading is dispersed or is deviated from the mean value, that is known as deviation. If the mean value is 5, suppose the mean value is 5, and the suppose one observation we are having is 4 and another observation we are having is suppose 5.5. Okay, so that 5 is the mean, so deviation in one case will be 5 minus the original value, that is 4, and in the other case it will be 5.5 minus 5. So deviation is how much the value is deviating, or uh, so it is the difference between the mean value and the observed value, that is also known as deviation. Now range, the simplest possible measurement of dispersion is the range. So up to what range the value is dispersing. As I told you, one graph, if we have a Gaussian function type of graph, okay, so the range, which is the difference between greatest and least value, that is known as the range. The difference between the greatest value and the least value will give us range. Now average deviation. Deviation I have explained what is deviation. That is the deviation of the observed reading from the arithmetic mean. Now average deviation means average of the deviation. Okay, the average deviation is an indication of the precision of the instrument used in making the measurements. Average deviation is defined as the sum of absolute values of deviations divided by the number of readings. So the number of the sum of the deviations. What was the arithmetic mean? Arithmetic mean was the sum of the observation. Okay, sum of the observation divided by the total number of observation. But what is average deviation? It is the sum of the deviation of the readings, all the total sum of the total sum of the deviations from the mean value divided by the total number of observation, that will give you average deviation. So how do we define it? Average deviation is defined as the sum of the absolute values of deviation divided by the number of readings, total number of readings. The absolute value, and why are you talking about absolute value? We will take the modulus, okay, because the deviation may be negative, the deviation may be positive, so we always take the mod of that, so it will be positive only. So the absolute value of deviation is the value without respect to its sign, because there will be no sign, because positive will be same. Average deviation may be expressed as it is denoted by capital D, okay, and deviation it is denoted by small d. So average deviation capital D is D1 plus D2 C mod, modulus of D1, or the absolute value of D1, D2 up to Dn, the total number of deviations. So total number of deviation, total number of observations will be the same. Okay, so deviation deviation of first observation from the mean value, deviation of second observation from the mean value, like that deviation of the nth observation from the mean value. The total of this, the total of the modulus value, okay, not the negative value, we will take the absolute value, total of the absolute value of deviation divided by the total number of observations will give us the average deviation. It is also written as summation of mod of d divided by n. Summation of mod of d, that is the absolute value of the deviations divided by the total number of observations n. Now next term is standard deviation. The standard deviation of an infinite number of data is defined as the square root of the sum of individual deviations squared divided by the number of readings. So in mathematical terms, I will explain what is it. Standard deviation, it is denoted by SD. Okay, SD. Standard deviation is defined as the square root of the sum of individual deviations. Square root, see, square root of the sum of individual deviations squared. So if deviation is deviation is D1, square of that D1 square plus deviation of the second observation D2 square plus summation of the nth observation dn square. square of the deviations divided by the total number of deviation. Okay, square of deviations divided number total number of observation, square root of that will give us standard deviation. Okay, so it is also written as square root of summation of d square by n, where d square is the deviation of the observed values. Now in practice, however, the number of observation is finite. See, up to n I have taken, but in practical purpose, the number of observation will be finite. In experiments, when we perform experiments, we will not take infinite number of observations, right? There will be some finite value. So always there is a finite value of number of observations. So when the number of observation is greater than 20, SD is denoted by symbol sigma, while if it is less than 20, the symbol is S. Okay, so keep in mind this thing, because this will help you in solving problems. Okay, in solving numericals you will need this thing. When the number of observation is greater than 20, then the standard deviation is denoted by sigma. Okay, and when the number of observation is, sorry, yeah, okay, when the deviation number of observations is greater than 20, then SD is denoted by sigma, while if it is less than 20, SD is denoted by S, small s. The standard deviation of finite number of data is given by S is equal to, again, d square plus d square, d1 square plus d2 square plus up to dn square divided by n minus 1. The formula changes when the number of observation is less than 20. It becomes n minus 1, n summation of d square divided by n minus 1. Okay, so this is the formula when the number of observation is less than 20. Otherwise, if the number of observation is more than 20, we'll use this formula. Next is variance. The variance is the mean square deviation, which is the same as the SD, except that the square it is not extracted. So see, in the previous case, if I remove this square root, if I remove this square root, it becomes variance. See, it is a standard deviation, square of standard deviation, mean square deviation. Okay, mean square deviation, which is same as SD, except the square root is not extracted. Variance, it is denoted by V. Okay, variance is denoted by capital V. Standard deviations, square of that SD. So if I say SD is here, SD will be also can also be denoted by sigma. So if I square this, what will happen? This root will be removed. So this root is removed, sigma square, and it becomes summation of d square by n, and only the root is removed. See, so when the root is removed, it is known as variance, and when the root is there, it will be known as standard deviation. But when again the number of observation is less than 20, then the formula will change. This n will become n minus 1. Simply this n will become n minus 1. See, here this n has become n minus 1, this n has become n minus 1. So this n, it will become n minus 1. Okay, so this is the formula for variance. So this was all about not arithmetic mean, the statistical analysis, whatever you may require in measurement and instrumentation. So this was a brief discussion about the statistical analysis, where arithmetic mean, dispersion, deviation, then range, average deviation, standard deviation, and variance, all these things are discussed, and the formulas are also discussed. Now the topic is again important from exam point of view, since you may get numericals to solve from this topic. So you also may get numericals from error also. Okay, so that numericals from error topic and numericals from this statistical analysis I will cover in one video lecture. But today I'm not going to numerical, because I am supposed to cover some other topics, so I will not go into numericals today. I will go to another topic. Okay. Okay, so your next topic, which is very important, and it is the, I can say, most widely used instrument, analog meters. So we'll discuss about analog meters now. Now, what are analog meters? While discussing different types of instrument, you may remember that I discussed about analog meters and analog instruments, right? So what are analog instruments? An analog device is one in which the output or display is a continuous function of time. Okay, what is this? It is a continuous function of time. The device in which the output which we obtain, that is a continuous function and not discrete function. Okay, we'll get a continuous value. So, and bears a constant relation to its input. There will be a relation between input and output always. So that is that those type of instruments are known as analog instruments. Now there is various classifications of analog instrument. So analog instruments are also classified as indicating, recording, and integrating instruments. So basically there are three types: indicating instrument, recording instrument, and integrating instrument. Okay. So I'll discuss one by one about these instruments. First is indicating instrument. What what does the name suggest? Indicating means it is indicating something, right? So those type of instruments which indicate the magnitude of the quantity being measured. Okay, whatever quantity you are measuring, the value of that quantity being measured will be indicated on the meter. Whatever is the output, those output, that output will be indicated on the instrument. Those type of instruments are known as indicating instruments. Okay, they generally make use of dial and pointer for this purpose. And where do we get the output? We'll get the output with the help of pointer. We'll get the output with the help of dial, because pointer will be there and one scale will be there, right? So that we can read the values, what is the value of the quantity. So for that, what are required? A dial is required and a pointer is required. Ordinary voltmeter, ammeters, and wattmeter belong to this category. So these are three names: voltmeter, ammeter, and wattmeter. Three names, three different instruments which are used for measuring purpose. So these type of instruments, they belong to this category of indicating instrument. Why? Because all these have dial, all these have a pointer which indicate the quantity we are measuring. So this type of instruments are known as indicating instrument. The analog indicating instruments may be divided into two groups. Now further they can be divided into two groups. Indicating instrument, basically electromechanical instruments, electronic instruments. Now again, electronic instruments can also be there, electromechanical instruments can also be there. So these are two types of instruments: indicating instruments, analog indicating instruments. But I will not go into details, it is not that important. The main is the idea of indicating instruments. Okay, so the instrument which indicate the value, that instruments are known as indicating instruments. And how do they indicate? With the help of pointer and dial. Next is recording instrument. Recording, again from the name we can say that it records something, right? It is recording something. This type of instruments give a continuous record of the quantity being measured over a specified period. It measures a quantity and it keeps a record of the quantity being measured up to a certain, over a certain period of time. Explain this. Okay, so recording instruments are what? These type of instruments give a continuous record of the quantity being measured over a specific period of time. So this type of instrument, what they do, they measure the quantity being measured, they record it. Whatever is the record, they will keep the record. So the variations of the quantity being measured are recorded by a pen attached to the moving system. So in the instrument there will be a moving system in which a pen will be attached. Okay, so that pen will record the whole output of the quantity being measured. It will keep a record. Example of such type of device which I will give you, a seismograph. I hope you know what is seismograph. In whenever earthquake happens, what happen? we always give get some record, like some waves are there, certain a straight line is there, then all of a sudden vibrations are there, we will see peak, overshoot, undershoot in the output. So there is a pen which is steady, which is recording, but once it experiences the vibrations, the pen will start shaking, and it will find the it will see that the graph has now overshoot and undershoot. The peaks increases and decreases, and not, it is not a constant straight line, but peaks come and vibrations will be there. So seismograph, it measures the vibrations, earth vibration whenever earthquake happens, right? So recording instruments, so these type of instruments are known as recording instruments, which record any quantity. Okay, so that type of instruments are known as recording instrument. Next is integrating instrument. These instruments totalize events over a specified period of time. So it totalize, it integrates. Integration is what it is, summation, right? It integrates what the events, the quantity being measured, whatever, over a specific period of time. The summation which they give is the product of time and an electrical quantity. The summation which they give is the product of time and an electrical quantity. Okay, the best example of this is energy meter. What energy meter does, I hope energy meter everybody knows, the meter which is there in our household, which measures the energy or the power consumed by us over a period of time. People from electricity department, they come and they note the reading and go away, right? So what do they get in the reading? They get the power which we have consumed over a certain period of time, over a month, over 6 months, or over 3 months, whatever power we have consumed in this period of time. The meter will sum those up, it will integrate those up, sum those up, and multiply it with the specified period of time and give you the output. So those type of integrate instruments are known as integrating instruments. Okay, the integration is generally given by a register consisting of a set of pointer and dials. So pointer and dials, yes, energy meter have pointer and dials. That dial is there and one disc is there when which keeps on rotating. So those instrument which gives the events, the sum of the observations over a period of time, that are known as integrating instruments. So I'll come to this later on. First, I'll describe three things: deflecting torque, controlling torque. So first actually comes principle of operation, but I will discuss it after discussing the forces. Okay, so first let me explain the operating forces. So see, whenever a meter is there, whenever you want to measure something, there should be some force, right? The meter will not give output on its own. There has to be some force which will drive the meter. So these type of forces are needed to set for the satisfactory operation of an indicating instrument. So all the indicating instrument have three types of forces. Basically, they experience three types of forces. The three forces are deflecting force, controlling force, and damping force. Now, one by one, I will tell you what is meant by deflecting force. Deflecting force, as the name suggests, deflection, deflecting. So it is definitely such a force which deflects something. So what happens when there is a meter and you want to get some output? You if you have seen an ammeter or a voltmeter, you must have seen that there are pointers and there is a scale. So the pointer deflects, the pointer rests on certain scale, and we measure that value, that gives the value of the quantity being measured, right? But what drives the pointer? The pointer was at rest, how all of a sudden it is moving? So there will be some force. That force is nothing but the deflecting force, which the force which moves the pointer from the initial 0 position to the final value, or we can say which deflects, simply which deflects the pointer from its 0 value, that is known as deflecting force. Okay, so the deflecting or operating force is required to move the pointer from its 0 position. Okay, so it moves the pointer from its 0 position. The system produces the deflecting force is known as deflecting system or moving system. So the system which helps in giving this deflecting force, that system is known as the deflecting system, or it is also known as moving system. The deflecting force can be produced by utilizing any of the effects mentioned earlier. So I will come to this later on. So there are different forces, different effects which, due to which this deflection occurs, which I will explain in the next uh, you can say video. Okay, so that due to that effect the pointer gets deflected. The deflecting system thus acts as a prime mover responsible for the deflection. So what is prime mover? Prime mover means the initial, that thing that which deflects, which starts moving something, that is the prime mover. Prime mover, so the deflection system is the prime mover. It is the main initial system part of the instrument which is responsible for the deflection of the pointer. Okay, so these type of forces are known as deflecting force, and the system is known as the deflecting system or the moving system. Next is controlling force. Now see, the pointer has moved from the initial 0 position, right? But we need to do what? We need output. If the pointer has moved from the initial position but it is not, it has overstruck the point at which we wanted the reading. Suppose the reading should have come as 10 ampere. Okay, but the pointer has crossed 10 ampere, or it is either overshooting or it is either undershooting. So there should be a controlling force, otherwise what will happen? The pointer will go on moving and moving and moving, right? It will go out of the scale and we will get no output. So there should be some force which will be controlling the movement of the pointer, right? So that force is nothing but the controlling force. It should control the deflection of the pointer so that the pointer does not overstruck. Okay, so controlling force, this force is required in an indicating instrument in order that the current produces deflection of the pointer proportional to its magnitude. Whatever is the magnitude of the quantity being measured, the deflection should be proportional to that magnitude. Okay, so that is provided by the controlling force. The system producing a controlling force is known as the controlling system. Deflecting force, the system which was providing the deflecting force, that system was known as the deflecting system. The system which is providing the controlling force is known as the controlling system. Next is damping force. Now see, the the pointer has started from its initial position. It has been controlled by the by the controlling force, but we will not get output until and unless the pointer rests, right? If it keeps on deflecting from the 0 position to some value, if it keeps on oscillating between any two points, then we will not get output. It must rest on some particular value, that is the value of the quantity being measured. That force is known as the damping force. Okay, that force which helps the pointer to come at rest, that is known as the damping force. So when a deflecting torque is applied to the moving system, it deflects and it should come to rest at a position where the deflecting force is balanced by the controlling force. So the controlling force and deflecting force is balanced by the controlling force, but the damping force, what it does, it provides the steady condition, steady position to the pointer, the deflection. Okay, so this is known as damping force. So the system again which provides the damping forces will be known as the damping system. Okay, so this was all about the operating forces. Now, as I have told you, deflecting force I'll discuss in the next video. Controlling force and controlling system. Okay, I'll just give a very brief explanation of what is about the control system. Control system, as I have told, it controls the movement of the pointer. So that control system are of two types. The deflecting system, most of the commercial instrument is mounted on pivoted spindle, the quantity being measured producing a deflecting torque proportional to its magnitude. There are two types of control system which are used for such a mounted system: gravity control and spring control. So there are two types of control mechanisms which are used for controlling the deflection of pointer. So that are gravity control and spring control. Again, I will not discuss it today, I'll discuss in the next video lecture. So be with me for more updates about the subject. Follow my videos. You will be I hope you will be getting good knowledge of the subject from by following my videos. So today I'll stop here. Thank you very much.